May 2nd, 1995. A 15-year-old girl walks into school like any other student. She attends her classes. She laughs with friends at lunch. Then she disappears. Not from a lonely road, not from a dark parking lot, not from an isolated hiking trail. She vanishes from her own high school in broad daylight. 30 years later, one man has admitted involvement in her death. Several others have been convicted of lying about what happened. Yet nobody has ever found her body, and the people who know the truth still aren't talking. This is the haunting case of Kiplyn Davis. Spanish Fork, Utah, was the kind of town where people knew their neighbors. In 1995, crime wasn't something most families worried about. Teenagers walked to school. Parents felt safe letting their children spend time with friends. It was the type of community where a missing child seemed impossible. 15-year-old Kiplyn Davis fit right into that world. Friends described her as energetic and outgoing. She attended Spanish Fork High School and was known for her curly red hair, bright blue eyes, and lively personality. Like many teenagers, she had dreams, friendships, and everyday problems. Nothing suggested that her life was about to become one of America's most disturbing missing person mysteries. But on the morning of May 2nd, 1995, something felt different. Kiplyn reportedly argued with her parents before leaving for school. It wasn't unusual. Teenagers and parents argue all the time. Nobody could have imagined it would be the last time they saw her alive. That Tuesday started normally. Kiplyn arrived at Spanish Fork High School. She attended her morning classes. Friends saw her throughout the day. Nothing appeared out of place. As lunchtime arrived, students filled the cafeteria. Witnesses later recalled seeing Kiplyn laughing and socializing. She looked completely normal, no signs of distress, no indication she was planning to disappear. Then something changed. After lunch, Kiplyn never showed up to her fourth period class. She missed fifth period too. At first, nobody sounded the alarm. Students skipped class sometimes. Teachers assumed she might be somewhere else on campus. But when school ended, a disturbing discovery was made. Her purse remained in her locker. Her books were still there. Her makeup, her dental retainer. Virtually everything she would need was left behind. For investigators, this detail would become crucial. Runaways don't usually leave behind everything. Especially not a 15-year-old girl. Something wasn't right. When Kiplyn failed to come home, her family immediately knew something was wrong. This wasn't like her. Hours passed, then an entire night. No phone call, no note, no explanation. The Davis family reported her missing. At first, investigators considered the possibility that she had run away. After all, there had been the argument with her parents. Some classmates recalled her mentioning the idea of leaving. But the evidence didn't fit. Her belongings were untouched. Money wasn't missing. There was no confirmed plan. As days became weeks, investigators started considering a darker possibility. Someone may have taken her. The FBI eventually joined the investigation. A local missing person case was rapidly becoming something much larger. Small towns have secrets, and Spanish Fork was no different. As the investigation continued, rumors exploded. Students whispered about what might have happened. Names began circulating. Stories spread through hallways and neighborhoods. Some people claimed Kiplyn's body had been hidden in a canyon. Others suggested train tunnels. Some believed she had been buried beneath a building. Investigators chased lead after lead. Searches were conducted. Tips poured in. Nothing produced a breakthrough. Years passed. The mystery deepened. For the Davis family, every day brought fresh heartbreak. Without answers, grief became suspended in time. How do you mourn someone when you don't know what happened? How do you move on when hope refuses to die? For nearly a decade, the case appeared frozen. Then something changed. In 2003, the investigation was revived. Federal authorities began taking a fresh look at what happened to Kiplyn. Investigators focused on a group of young men who had attended school with her. As witnesses were re-interviewed, troubling inconsistencies emerged. Stories changed. Alibis shifted. People who had once seemed cooperative suddenly looked suspicious. Federal grand juries began hearing testimony, and according to investigators, several people lied. Not once, not twice, repeatedly. Why? What were they protecting? Who were they protecting? Authorities became convinced that multiple individuals knew exactly what happened to Kiplyn Davis. The challenge was proving it. One name surfaced again and again: Timmy Brent Olsen. Investigators believed Olsen had information about Kiplyn's disappearance almost from the beginning. Over the years, they documented conflicting statements, different timelines, different explanations, different alibis. Witnesses also came forward claiming Olsen had confessed. Some alleged he admitted involvement in Kiplyn's death. Others described disturbing statements he allegedly made over the years. Federal prosecutors eventually charged Olsen with perjury. He wasn't alone. Several others were also accused of lying under oath regarding the investigation. The wall of silence was finally beginning to crack. But the biggest revelations were still ahead. For years, prosecutors faced a difficult problem. There was no body, no crime scene, no physical evidence proving Kiplyn was dead. Yet investigators remained convinced she had been murdered. Then, in 2011, everything changed. Timmy Olsen accepted a plea agreement. He pleaded guilty to manslaughter in connection with Kiplyn Davis's death. The admission shocked the community. After 16 years, someone had finally acknowledged that Kiplyn was dead. But the plea came with a devastating twist. Olsen claimed another individual struck Kiplyn with a rock. He admitted helping move and conceal the body. But he refused to identify the alleged killer. Even worse, he refused to reveal where Kiplyn's remains were hidden. The family finally had confirmation, but they still didn't have answers. Most homicide investigations end with a body. This one didn't. Searches continued. Investigators pursued leads. Areas were excavated. Tips were examined. Still nothing. No remains, no burial site, no closure. For the Davis family, that reality became unbearable. They knew their daughter was gone. A conviction confirmed it. Yet they couldn't bring her home. They couldn't bury her. They couldn't say goodbye. Her killer knew where she was, and he wasn't talking. The years continued passing. Birthdays came and went. Graduations, weddings, life milestones Kiplyn never experienced. Her family refused to forget. One of the most heartbreaking symbols in the case became a porch light. For years, her parents kept it burning. A silent message, a beacon waiting for their daughter to come home. Not necessarily alive, just home. Even after decades, they continued searching, not for justice anymore, for peace, for answers, for a place to visit, a place to grieve, a place where they could finally lay their daughter to rest. In February 2026, another painful chapter unfolded. After serving his sentence, Timmy Olsen was released from prison. Yet Kiplyn's remains had still not been located. Authorities hoped imprisonment might eventually convince him to cooperate. It didn't. Years passed. Opportunities came and went. Still no answers. Still no body. Still silence. For the Davis family, the release represented another cruel reminder. The man convicted in connection with their daughter's death could walk free. Kiplyn remained missing. 30 years have passed since a 15-year-old girl vanished during a normal school day. The mystery isn't who suffered. The mystery isn't whether a crime occurred. The mystery is why so many people chose silence. Somewhere the truth still exists. Somewhere there may be a location known only to a handful of people. And somewhere, perhaps not far from Spanish Fork, are the remains of a girl whose family never stopped searching. Until that secret is revealed, the story of Kiplyn Davis remains one of the most haunting cases in American true crime. A murder acknowledged, a body was never found, and a family is still waiting for the final answer.